airstrikes in Syria, including right next to the palace of Jolani. I mean, right next to it. And that comes after Israel sent a message to Jolani, hands off the Jews. Attack helicopters operating in Syria, taking Mujahideen targets and military targets in the midst of the siege that the government of Syria, alongside the ISIS, Daesh, and Al Qaeda, and all these jihadists, sieging on the Druze in Sueda. Now, Israel is denying that it was them. But I mean, last time I checked, the Druze don't have fighter jets, attack helicopters. They barely have a DJI Mini. But things are getting very interesting in Syria. Now, the Druze have managed to survive another night of intense fighting with all these Bedouin jihadists that came to plunder and destroy Sueda and take their women. They defeated them in a crazy battle with 0 losses to the Druze and many losses to the Bedouins.
قال عم بيقولوا لكم بدهم يفوتوا على السويدة أما يخسوا والله مقاتلين بالآلاف بالآلاف أبشر نحن تشاهد حرب دين ما في حدا بيدلنا ما حدا بيدل دول حي النشامة فوق معنويات.
But the war is not over. There's still plenty of jihadists, and some of them are getting actually very angry right now because they felt that they were humiliated by Israel, and they felt that this is another reason for them to take their frustration on the Druze. Even an Israeli helicopter landing behind enemy lines in Sueda and providing them with supplies, aid, food, all kind of stuff, and taking 6 injured Druze from Sueda into a hospital in Israel, treating them. Actually, there's one more thing that came to me from a very reliable source in Israel, but I wish I could share it with you. It's a very interesting outcome, and we're probably going to be hearing about it in the next few days. But there's things. My point is, things are happening very fast in Syria, and the Druze right now who are stuck there fighting for their life. It's kind of like a zombie apocalypse. Every night, the jihadist comes, and they need to survive that night. And in the morning, if they manage to survive, it's just another day of preparation, and then another fight and another fight. But now we do know that Israel does have the back of the Druze in Syria. Not only Israel as a government, also mostly Israel as the people in Israel. And what a beautiful thing to see. And I'm telling you, as a Druze, it warmed my heart to see so many people in Israel showing support with the Druze and standing on the side of the Druze. What would be the outcome in the days to come? I feel that we're still very far from the end of this. The radical jihadists who received a pretty critical blow, including the government of Jolani, are still not done. The father of Jolani came with a tweet demanding that Syria goes to war with Israel, and right now we're having riots here. You can watch it here. That is Syrians that are very frustrated, demanding that Syria declare war against Israel. Now, will that escalate to that point? We're going to see in the next few days. Can actually Syria pose a threat to Israel in terms of all-out war? Very unlikely. Israel will just obliterate them. When Israel shot the rockets next to the palace of Jolani, Israel had done that in the past also with Assad. When they got really upset with Assad regime, they went and flew with their fighter jets. They took down his airplanes and just flew circles around his palace. And there's reports that Assad was hiding under the table and crying like a baby because he knew that Israel could take him at any moment. Israel is sending Jolani a very similar message. Yes, you managed to create a coup and you took over the country, but the only reason that we're allowing you to stay is because we're hoping that you would create a more stable Syria. But if you keep killing minorities, Christians, Alawites, Kurds, Druze, and you keep threatening Israel, we will take you down. And they made it very clear for him also, hands off the Druze, all the way from Damascus south towards Israel. Stay out of this place. We don't want to see your jihadists. We don't want to see any flags of ISIS. And we don't want to see your goons driving on these Toyotas with machine guns, going and looking how to plunder, kidnap, rape, and I don't know what. Stay away. Will Jolani listen? I think there's a lot of pressure on Jolani because he understands that Israel can take him any second. There's literally nothing that they can do to stop Israel from obliterating and destroying them. Did they get that message? That is the question. I think Jolani got that message, but I think a lot of these goons in the streets, a lot of these jihadists, honestly, they're just not very smart. Whenever they smell blood, they just get excited. They smell a chance to go and kill minorities, they get excited. So the situation in Syria remains very, very fragile. The Druze are still living under a siege. The Druze are still living without electricity, with barely any internet, barely any supplies. And I feel that in the next few days, we're going to start seeing more and more how serious is Israel in terms of protecting the Druze, and not only protecting, but also starting to build real long-lasting alliance with the Druze in Sueda and with the Druze in Syria. And when I say long-lasting alliance, for some example, I think that Israel should start sending them more supplies so they can defend themselves. I have relatives in Syria that I'm talking to, and they're saying, listen, people here are running out of ammunition. People here are too poor to buy weapons to defend themselves. So if you break it down, here are the challenges that the Druze are having right now when they're being sieged by the government of Syria. They don't have enough weapons, enough ammunition, they don't have enough food, they don't have electricity, and they barely have any internet or communication system. They started to jam the radios, for example. So now they're relying on communicating through WhatsApp and et cetera, et cetera. They don't have the most simple stuff like, like mobile chargers for their phones, communication system, internet, like I said. So if we want the Druze to survive in Syria, there's still a very long way and we need to start supporting them. Now, yes, there's a lot of support that is coming from Israel in terms of food and humanitarian aid that is going through the border and going to the Druze towns that are under the Israeli idea of protection. That's right by the border with Israel. But Sueda is a bit detached and they're right now on their own. And the main way to defend them, I would say, is mostly by the Air Force, unless Israel chooses to go with boots on the ground. But that's going to be a very, very big decision to make as a government. I don't think we're there yet. From the reports that I'm getting from the Druze in Syria, they're still standing strong. They're still very capable. They're still defending themselves. But for how long will they be able to do that? That really depends on how can we help them prolong this resistance that they're having there in the trying to defend themselves. I've seen some crazy images of a car driving, and they see a kid who is about 12 years old holding a weapon. And the guy in the car asks him, "Hey, how old are you?" And he says, "I'm 12 years old." And he said, "What are you doing?" "I'm here to defend my home." That is the reality in Syria. Every able body. I've seen pictures of Druze religious women standing with machine guns and training how to fight. So we have the women and the men and the children there are training how to fight because they want to go fight, but they're not an organized army. That's first. So to make this video easy to understand, for the future to come, for the Druze to still be able to survive another day and another day, another day, they need to upgrade their military. They need to upgrade their training. They need to upgrade their supply chain and their mobility to be able to drive around. A lot of the Druze families that are fleeing the Druze neighborhood around Damascus because they're literally fleeing for their life, some of them are getting killed on the way. Anyone who's coming out of his town in Syria is putting himself in great risk and great danger because Syria have become the Mad Max of the jihadists. Syria have become the Book of Eli of Mustafa and Ahmed and Allah Akbar, guys. It's a very unsafe place to walk outside. It's also very unsafe to even leave your families in the house without a man with a weapon that can defend them. I've heard an alarming audio message that the men in Syria were sending, and they're saying Bedouins are coming and trying to kidnap our women and daughters. Don't leave your house. And if you're in the house, make sure you have weapon. And again, here's my point. A lot of them don't even have money right now to buy weapons. So they are literally living in a crazy no man's zone with jihadists all around that just want to come, kill, and plunder anything in their way. To those of you who don't know me, my name is Mansour and I'm an Israeli Druze. I served as an officer in the Israeli army in the special forces. And part of being a Druze, you have relatives, distant relatives in Lebanon, in Syria. So I'm getting a lot of information from them. I'm going to keep updating you on a daily basis. But please do not forget the Druze. Help us bring this to the media. The media is not talking about this, and that's driving me nuts. But they will start talking about this once we start bringing it up. So I need the help of anyone back home. If you care about this conflict, bring this up, share these videos, make your own videos, talk about it. And let's force the Western media, for some bizarre reasons, choose to always ignore the things that make the jihadists look bad. And why is that? Because the jihadists are their friends. And what do? They focus only on the things that make their jihadist friends look like victims or look good. For example, hating Israel, blaming Israel, or right now, ignoring the crimes that are happening against the Christians, the Alawites, the Kurds, and the Druze, because that makes the bad guys look bad. So it does make you understand, as a human living in the West, that our media have been compromised. Mostly, I would say the left-wing liberal media have been heavily compromised for them to cover very important things that are happening. For example, the attempt to genocide the Druze community in Syria, they will just not talk about it unless we bring it to their door and we made them see that this is very important. People want to hear about this because if we don't do that, guys, we're going to witness, because if the Druze people fall in Syria, that will be the end of the minorities in Syria. The only group that is still standing strong and fighting are the Kurds and the Druze. And any of these groups, if they fall down, it's just going to be a domino effect. And it's going to be very, very hard for everyone there. So if you are a human who care actually about life and about minorities that are just trying to live in peace and practice their own faith, it's very important that we twist the hand of the Western media and tell them, guys, start doing your job and stop supporting the bad guys. Give us real, honest reporting.